The last speaker for today, and by no means the least, is a man that I have known for several years. He's a Minnesota snowbird. I see him only 6 months out of the year. He and his wife, Gwen, live in Tucson now 6 months a year. He is an author of many books for adolescents and has almost 500,000 copies of his book in print and sold. He has recently written and published a book for men that's called Man Making, Men Helping Boys on Their Journey to Manhood. It is a lot easier to initiate a boy than it is to repair a broken man. This is the mission and the life's work of our next speaker. He's an elder in the Mankind Project Tucson community, and he was a recipient recently of what we call the Ron Herring Award, which is given to men who live their lives in mission. Would you please help me welcome Earl Hipp?
My journey here began on a brutally cold February day in Minnesota when I met Ojulo Agote. Ojulo had been on his hero's journey where he from Sudan, where he had experienced tribal warfare, flight from his family and village, the horrors of the refugee experience in camps. He fought extraordinary bureaucratic battles to get to this country, and when I met him, he had been put in a nasty one-bedroom apartment with his wife, 2 daughters, and young son, Okun. So he's got nothing, right? Cockroaches running around. I'm on the way over. I'm thinking I can help this man. I asked him, I said, Ojulo, how can I help you in this new country? The first thing out of that man's mouth, remember he's got nothing, right? First thing out of his mouth was, will you teach my son to be a man in your country? I'm thinking, how about some boots, a jacket? And I did what you did. I kind of laughed his request off because I felt instantly inadequate. You know, like these other men, I'm a pretty normal guy, doing pretty well, looking good on the outside. Didn't have kids for some of the reasons that Stephen talked about. But I had never considered myself a man maker in the life of anybody's son. And so I laughed it off. But that haunted me. His question went to a giant hole in my male psyche, at the bottom of which was anger and sadness because the men in my life had all evaporated. They didn't show up when I needed them to be there. As I say that, I have goosebumps about that right now because I'm not done with that. And so I went looking for help with that. I started talking to my men friends there, and I said, you know, what would you say to Ojulo? So nobody had an answer, really. They knew what a young male should know, kind of, but there was no path to manhood that most of my men friends could identify. So being a writerly kind of a guy, I intellectualized it, and I put up a research website at man-making.com, where I asked men 13 questions, and that went all around the world, as far away as Tasmania, England. I got responses from all over the world. My favorite question was, of those 13, is, when did you become a man? Right? The overwhelming response, the majority of responses was, nobody showed up for me, I never crossed a line, and I'm not sure today that I'm a man. Can you imagine that? You know, I got laid, I got a car, I went in the military, I had a kid, but I still, you know, I was not alone with a hole in my male psyche. So and at that time, by the way, I was also learning about what I call an epidemic of under-malnourished boys in the world. Tragic stories we all hear about on the news every night, including last night. So my quest to fill that hole led me here. In 2002, I did this New Warrior Training adventure. For the first time in my life, really, I got connected to a tribe of men. I entered the men's hut. I met the most solid, accountable, words you've heard here, caring men I have ever known, and the kind of men my adolescent kid would have wanted to know, would have wanted to have been surrounded by. And it still feels wonderful today to have this man at my back, and all the other brothers in the room in my back. So that led to a personal mission to stand strong for boys and for men. And I think I can say, as I wrote in the book, I'm now doing my part so that fewer men and boys will wander lost in that never land between boyhood and manhood. Today I continue to write and speak on this topic. I directly mentor Ojulo's son and lots of other young guys. I'm connected to groups of men around the world who are intentionally setting boys on a path to positive manhood through rite of passage experiences and through group mentoring. In fact, right here in Tucson, a stalwart band of about 28 men last March initiated 17 boys in the desert wilderness. And it was, I say it melts and reforms my heart every time I participate in an experience like that. And we're doing it again this March. And we'd like you to come join us. And if you know a boy that who might benefit from this, and they all would, by the way, please tell us about it. Frederick Douglass, as George just quoted, says it's easier to build strong boys than to repair broken men. And now it's come full circle since Ojulo's question. Now I am initiating. I'm an initiator of young males, and that feels, I'm blessed in that action. So, in truth, I am in awe of and humbled by my connection to the very good and solid men of Mankind Project, and for modeling almost daily with every interaction what it means to be a man standing strong in his personal power and having the courage to reshape his world. And I agree with Donna, the world needs much more of that. So I invite you to join us to support this work. Blessings on all the men in this room who've helped me become the man I am today, and especially you, George. Thank you so much.